Hi everybody, it's Jason here. I'm a Disney character artist and welcome to episode 22 of the World of DVC show, and I'm going to show you how to draw your favorite Disney character.
Hey Jason.
Hey.
Great to see you. Thanks for being part of
Good
the
to see you, Kerri.
Yeah, listen, hey, so Derek drew Mickey Mouse and he wanted me to ask you for some feedback. So
absolutely.
What do you think?
It's blue.
Yep.
It's magical. He's smiling.
Yep.
Tell Derek not to quit his day job, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, just
awesome. Hey, Derek. Jason loved it.
Daddy, look, a giraffe. I can't believe you can walk through the castle.
It starts with a spark, alive in our hearts, a chance to build your legacy. To go to magical places with smiling faces and value and trust you can see. When it's buying or selling, renting or lending, there's a wonderful dwelling with wishes unending. You'll save a lot when you believe. So go with the team who will achieve your dream. Enter the world of DVC.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the world of DVC, the ultimate DVC destination where magical vacations meet incredible value through exceptional service. Put in your headphones, turn the volume up, sit back, relax, and step into the world of DVC.
Just wish on a star. Enter the world of DVC.
You guys dressed appropriately
Exactly.
because it's our special Valentine's.
It's Valentine's
We look
Day.
like,
show.
what is it, Sweeties or Smarties?
Smarties. Sweeties and Smarties, yeah. And you're like the
I don't
black
know what
soul of the...
I'm like the Undertaker.
You weren't part of our group text where we said, what are you wearing today?
Yeah. I'm wearing pink. No, I've got my black. But I do
That's
have,
okay.
before we get started,
What do you have?
You guys don't even know this, but it's a Valentine's Day. So my special host,
my
I have you
gosh.
special
Oh
Valentine's Day
Oh,
candies.
you did not.
This one says, you are a mermazing. This one is, it's good to be a princess. So these are for you. They were incredibly expensive from Walmart. So I want to make sure that you enjoy each and every bit of that $1.59
you.
candy.
Was that your, what are you, your
she's-
Walmart night out?
And she's giving you a heart. So thank
Yeah,
you, Derek.
you're welcome.
Is there
Happy
like a diamond in
Valentine's
here or anything like
Day.
that? Or
Nope, just really bad candy.
well, thank you. Here, we'll put it here.
yes.
Here, Marissa, put it like that.
There you go.
So
Decor.
yeah, exactly. Table
Welcome,
decor.
everybody, and
That's
happy
so sweet.
Valentine's Day to
Yes.
episode number 22
22.
of the World of DVC show. We are thrilled to have you here. We've got a jam-packed show,
Yeah.
so even though we already talked about it, we have a ton of stories that we wanted to be able to share with you. We're going to save those for a later date.
Right.
Because we've got the amazing Jason is here, Disney character artist, so I cannot wait to
He's
have
so
him
great.
come and join us
And
later.
if you remember, he was one of our guests at the World of DVC retreat that we had in December. He came and drew for us and put our core values together. And he's a storyteller. He is a character himself. And he's so much fun to be around. So
And he's
loved
going to
having
teach
him.
you guys
Yeah.
how to draw one of your favorite Disney characters, which could result in probably, I think, one of the coolest prizes that we've ever given away.
Yeah, and I think what's so special, and you'll see throughout the episode, but like with Jason, his stories are truly what makes his art so
gosh, yeah.
incredible. And so when we were at the retreat, he gave this really special story about one of the pieces that he drew. And it was so impactful to our team that we wanted to share it to all of you, which kind of inspired this episode. But we are going to give away that very special piece of art. It is hand signed by Jason. So stay tuned so you can see what that work of art is. One of you will win that. So make sure, again, the easiest way to win our prizes is just participate. So make sure you are subscribing. Make sure you're giving us the thumbs up. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star, maybe a note in there. And make sure you put in the comments, because as we go through the next kind of year of 2023, we're always looking for more ways that we can showcase special things to you, our audience. So with Unlock Magic, we know so many of you have joined us over in that community, and it has been Wow.
Yeah.
What an exciting month, right?
Yeah.
But we decided, as of today, we are going to actually do what we call an unlocked noodle, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually have Jason come on once a month, and that's going to be only found in unlockmagic.com. So if you're not a member yet, make sure you're joining us over there, and he's going to do a special how to draw a specific character every single month. And we just think that is going to be such a fun opportunity for our community there.
Yeah, such a great way to bring the magic to you and to your kids and to anybody who just wants to be part of that like Disney animator kind of feeling for just a little bit. Yeah,
Which
he's
I think the
fantastic.
first character I'm going to ask him is going to be this mer woman on this Walmart candy. I
With
think
her
that's the first one
her
I'm going
purple hair.
So
No,
we
he's
have
fabulous.
some great market updates, but in true Disney fashion, we've decided to give it some flowery verbiage because market update sounds so like, I don't know,
market updates.
market updates.
Right.
It sounds like work. So, but this is fun stuff. So Kerri has now deemed it the important stuff that you need to know what's going on in the world of DVC. Kerri, what's it called?
Around the World of DVC. Isn't that great?
Amazing.
I named it myself. I love it. Yeah, so just real quick with Rental Store, there's a bunch of things always going on with Rental Store, but thinking about that 11-month booking window, right? So we're in February. You want to think that 11 months. We just had a lot of the marathons, the Disney marathons. Well, now is the time to book that 11-month window for January if you are looking to do any of the Disney marathons in January. This is a great time to go out on DVCRentalStore.com, look for a studio, a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and get yourself booked, you know, kind of that planner in advance if you're looking to do any of the Run Disney events in January. But then it's also such a great time too because we're celebrating Valentine's Day, but always thinking about the holiday time frame. Food and Wine Festival, all of the holiday magic, the Halloween parties will be here before we know it. So if you're that planner, if you're looking now to say, maybe I'll just kind of do a little bit of some research and see what's out there for DVC Rental Store, go there and look at especially the confirmed reservations, because what that is that's a reservation that's already been made by a member, and all you're going to do as a guest is just really grab that reservation. So everything's been done for you, and Rental Store makes that process super seamless. We've used it as a family myself before becoming official members, and it's just such a seamless way to do things, especially doing it with the confirmed reservation. So DVCRentalStore.com, it's a great time to start planning that 11-month window, or that 7 to 11-month window is now.
Yeah.
We just used it for Vero Beach when we went.
Did you use Rental Store? Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know
so
that.
we well, for ourselves, we used our points, but our friends came
Yeah,
with.
that's right, your
And so
friends
that was a
did.
great way
Yeah.
to do that. And I think when we talk about all of the things going on, right? And so right now we are talking the centennial on the West Coast, and there's so much excitement I think with Disneyland right now.
Oh gosh,
when the Magic Key just came back, and so we're seeing so many of you, our audience, head there, and so many of our guests head over to the West Coast for all of these events. But something special is they are bringing back the marathon to Disneyland,
Right.
and so if you're planning to do that, that is going to be in January. So now is the time to plan for that, whether you're doing DVC Rental Store or if you want to try out maybe like the Disneyland Hotel. That's with our team at Be Our Guest Vacations. And so with a lot of people heading over to the West Coast, Be Our Guest Vacations is an incredible way. If you're not wanting to use your DVC points, that's a great way to book those Disney hotels. Our team there is fantastic. They are earmarked platinum. And if you didn't know, there are only 50 travel agencies 50 that exist
out of
total.
all of
50.
50.
That of
This
all
is
the
amazing.
hundreds of thousands
Yes.
of travel agencies that are platinum. So our
50.
team there, I mean, that just speaks to the incredible service. And I think one thing that we've kind of discovered through, obviously we know DVC members love to cruise, right? But even through our Unlock Magic community, we hear so much about cruising. And while there is that great way to swap, if you're not wanting to give up your points for a cruise and you're just paying cash anyways, reach out to the team there. They are probably the most established when it comes to cruise booking because they've been on every cruise and know all the ins and outs. So BeOurGuestVacations.com.
They have that heart of the Disney service too. I always find that with BOGV, that the thread of Disney service is like the core. That's the heartbeat. So yeah, they're phenomenal over there.
And over at the DVC Resale Market in true Valentine's Day fashion, you've probably already seen many ads, maybe on social media, on Facebook. We have what's called red hot deals. Ooh. See the Valentine's time? Red
Sizzling.
hot
You did that all by
deals.
yourself.
Sizzling hot.
All by myself. Red hot deals. make sure that you look at these. Folks, this is such a fantastic time to buy, and it just got better with these limited time only. They will only go through the end of the month. These are listings, guys, where they're literally listed 10% lower than the actual market value. So 10% lower. What's nice, Marissa reminded me of this, guys, these listings, there's no haggling. So whatever that price is, that 10%, the going market rate, go in there. If you see something you want, snag it. Yeah. You likened it to someone told you what? It was like eBay.
Like the buy it now button on eBay.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
yes,
you
yes,
can go, hey, I can bid back and forth, or I can know, hey, this is the price now. I can snag it. And I think for anyone new to the resale market, one of the biggest kind of overwhelming factors for people who don't know is that negotiation side. And so what we've done is we said, hey, this is market value. There's a lot of inventory on the market. How do we make this the best for buyers out there? And so what we've done is we've just kind of cut those prices. Any seller who says, I want to be part of this campaign has jumped on. They're willing to go below market value, but these won't last long. They are very limited. It's kind of like a daily flash sale when you log into the site.
Right.
So make sure, now if you haven't already, sign up for our newsletter. Whether you're on DVC Resale Market, you can go right there, put your name, your email address. You'll get an email every day at 9 with these updaters. But also, one thing that we did launch in January is our World of DVC newsletter. And so around the world of DVC just got a little bit better because we're going to be telling you all the latest and greatest things happening. So if you're saying, hey, sometimes I like to rent points, right? I'm looking to maybe add on a contract, or I like the idea of like cruise promotions. We're going to pack that all into one monthly email at the middle of each month. So make sure you can subscribe whether you're on resalemarket.com, dvcrentalstore.com. You can just go to subscribe, and as long as you're subscribed there, we'll send you out that monthly newsletter.
Yeah.
See?
But I mean, when we talk about newsletters and community, I think one of the exciting things so far this year has been our Unlocked Magic launch, right? And I think some of the feedback that we've gotten are people who say, you know, with a lot of social media comes either an overwhelming amount of time. So it's one of those things where I've deleted these apps off my phone, right? Because it's just gotten too much. Or it's that overwhelming amount of negativity, right? And so a lot of times people go and they have like this feeling of, hey, I wanted to ask a question about a dining location. And then it becomes this whole like disheartening event from one simple question, or you see things, or you get caught in this web.
Why are you asking us? Just Google it.
Right? My favorite.
Okay,
just Google it.
I'll just
So
leave.
that's what's been so special in the feedback we've gotten with Unlock Magic is it's just this really fun community where there's no Disney question that's off limits. Come and join the community. So if you haven't joined already, that's unlockedmagic.com. You can join right online. You can also download the app once you're on there and have the app right there on your phone. I mean, amazing things, especially the dining tool, the Walt Disney World, and the DVC Room Finder.
The Room Finder is amazing.
But if you want to know more about that, go back to episode 21. We go into all the details. But if you haven't joined yet, head on over.
Well, and even so, I had a great conversation. Like we love talking to the guests and to the members of Unlocked Magic and meeting you know, at the parks and everything. But Holly on Unlocked Magic, she asked a question about the Disney College program, and I was able to answer that for her as a former college recruiter for the Disney College program. And so we just went back and forth. She'd had her question, and I thought, I know the answer to that, so I'll just jump in and answer her question. And basically, she asked like, when's a good time for my daughter to do this program? Really, anytime. Just depends on, you know, a couple different things. But we had a really great conversation. So I think as so many of us are former Disney cast members as well, there's that layer too that you kind of have that knowledge and that little bit of pullback behind the curtain because there's so many different, you know, topics that you can get into with us within the conversation.
And I've heard many people use the phrase, and you see it in our little welcome new members where people tell us about themselves. And I've heard a lot of people be like, you know what? The other social media platforms aren't necessarily my thing, so I've really been looking for something like this. I've been looking for kind of a safe, magical place that I could just go to and they're just welcome with just open arms.
Without all the stuff, the ads and the this and that and everything. It's just, it's been great.
And speaking of like magical place, right? Oh wait, did you guys hear that?
I think I did.
We know a lot of you have been asking about story time with Sue. So what we decided is we are going to have episodes each month of story time with Sue in Unlocked Magic.
Yeah.
She actually has a lot of fun stuff planned this year, and so we wanted to let her kind of go at her own speed, right? And take that camera with her, almost like a blogging behind the scenes with Sue.
Yeah.
She's heading over to the Star Cruiser and doing a weekend getaway.
She is?
She's doing a VIP tour with kids, giving us tips on all of that. She's got like great little hidden places to go and enjoy Disney World. Yeah. So tune in, Unlocked Magic, to find story time with Sue.
It.
I just want to be Sue when I grow up.
I know. we all do. I've heard that a bunch of times too.
wanna
We
do
be
that.
Sue when we grow up.
So it is our Valentine's Day episode, and before we bring Jason on,
Yeah.
everybody get your fingers all limbered up appropriately. We thought it'd be fun to talk about, when it comes to Valentine's, of course, Disney's a very romantic place per se. So we just wanted to hit this quickly.
Yeah.
And just to kind of get some feedback and throw out our ideas of maybe some of the most romantic places at Walt Disney World. So we said, hey, let's each of us just come up and share maybe what your favorite romantic Disney hotel is and your favorite romantic Disney restaurant would be. So again, we want to know yours too. So when you're looking to email us to win that prize, let us know your thoughts about romance at Walt Disney World. I'm going to start easily, hands down for me. The most romantic resort at Walt Disney World Disney Vacation Club is the Polynesian. Hands down for me.
Polynesian.
The view looking across the water, especially at night, of Cinderella Castle right there. The tiki torches when they're up at night. The music playing. No resort beats that. And then for me, most romantic restaurant is a simple stroll or a monorail right over to the Grand Floridian to enjoy the incredibly inexpensive dinner that is known as Victoria and Albert's.
The bargain.
Do you have a coupon for that?
I'm sure Sue's going. So,
Yes.
but definitely Victoria and Albert's for me. If you haven't done it, it's phenomenal. It might be a once in a lifetime
one and done,
Valentine's Day gift, but for me, a combo of the Polynesian and a 4-hour dinner at Victoria and Albert's would be ideal.
That sounds
I think
nice.
I got the last coupon that existed when I went there. They allowed Tables in Wonderland for like a minute.
Oh, no
and
way.
it was 20% off.
Oh my gosh.
And so I bought Tables in Wonderland the night before we were going to Victoria and Albert's because it paid for the Table in Wonderland card. So there's your coupon that no longer exists. For me, most romantic. So most romantic on Disney property, I would say Grand Floridian. There's many different like rooms. I think the new studio rooms are incredible with the theme park view, and of course the Grand Villa. Those two have to make up the most romantic locations to stay at. And then since you took Victoria and Albert's, which I think is a very good choice, I am going to go with California Grill as the most romantic place to have dinner.
I would have thought you were going to go Topolino's.
Yeah, I think we've gone so much as a family that to me is more of like a family.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't be too romantic, but California Grill's a great pick. So I went a little bit different. I took a theme park. Which I know you don't totally think of romance when you think of kind of wandering through a theme park. But if you go to Epcot in France, it used to be, excuse my botched up French accent here, but it was Bistro de Paris. And now it's Monsieur Paul. And I've not been to Monsieur Paul, but I've been to the bistro a bunch of times. It's the second floor above.
It's that little restaurant that's up above.
Yes.
Chef's
right? Yes.
Okay.
Chef's de France. It's above that. And it is so quiet and you feel like you're in France there. So I would just go to France at Epcot and have a Grand Marnier / go to dinner there. And I think that's just such a beautiful place to be for a little bit of romance and some culture. And if you're in the theme park and you're not at the resorts and you want something maybe a little bit more spontaneous for romance, I would go there.
See? I like it.
And we had cue the string violins or something, right?
Cue, let's crack open these candies. We had some great feedback last month from you guys when we said, hey, what are some things that maybe you want us to talk about on future episodes? So I want to give a special shout out to Brian, first and foremost, who threw it out there and said, hey, you know what, guys? And Brian, you're not the first one to ask us this question, which Marissa will touch on in a second, but he wants to know, hey, what are some of your favorite things to do outside of the Disney parks? Because he said, hey, you know what? We come down a lot. Like, I think Brian was here 38 times last year from Indiana. He's here a lot. He loves to run Disney races. So obviously you can only do so many parks. So he really wants to know kind of some feedback on, hey, what's some cool stuff to do that doesn't involve going to a park?
I love
And
that
I
question.
went to Marissa and I said, can we talk about that?
And she said no. And here's why.
Yes, we can. We
Sorry,
are
Brian.
actually with, again, I bring up Unlock Magic, but we want to fill that with some special content in there, right? So whether it's story time with Sue or Jason's Noodles that we're going to have in there where you can learn to draw, we're also going to be putting pieces of our World of DVC show within Unlock Magic. So what we're going to do is we're going to showcase DVC resorts. We'll start there. We'll head over and do regular resorts. We'll do theme parks. We'll do Universal. We're going to go all around Orlando and talk about some of our favorite places to eat using the dining tool, but also talking about whether that's from being a cast member, right? Favorite little hidden spots at certain locations or just from spending time there. Favorite things to do that are outside of theme parks as well as some inside theme parks. So we're kind of going to cover it all. So again, make sure you're joining our community within Unlock Magic because we will have shorter versions of these episodes just for you to see in there.
Yeah.
I
So
can't
special.
wait.
Yeah, me too. There's a lot out there too.
So I think without further ado,
Right.
I think it's time we bring on the man of the hour, which we are so
my
excited
gosh,
for you
yeah.
guys to be able to meet and spend time with Jason. He touched our lives when we met him back at our World of DVC retreat. So
Yeah, so we are going to bring on Jason. So everybody give it up for Jason.
look who's here.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Oh, hi. How are you?
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you guys again.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you
Welcome.
for coming.
It's an honor to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Do you just walk around all the time with your sketch pad and pencil in your hand, like ready to sketch something?
I do. It's permanently
attached to your
attached to my hand. I was born this way.
I love it.
It's hard to eat soup. It's weird.
Oh, we're so happy to have you part of the show today. You were part of the retreat, as we said, and you did a phenomenal job
Yes.
showing us all how to draw Mickey, and you kind of put our 4 core values all together. So we are so honored to have you
Everybody did a
grace us
fantastic
with your presence.
job.
They did. They loved it.
And I said that before. It's my favorite part of the process, seeing what I do, the interpretation of what I do, and through everybody's eyes. So, even though we all have different designs, different ways of drawing, it still was the character.
Yeah.
In many
And there
different
was a
ways.
lot of interpretations
There
of
was
the
a lot
character.
of interpretations, yeah.
Right.
Why did you walk over to mine when I was done and you, I believe, set it on fire? That it was that
I had
bad?
to get rid of it right away. Mickey told me to do it. He's like, "All right, get rid of that right now. Just get it off the planet."
That's exactly what happened.
But I think, Kerri, like when we look back and we
Yeah.
got so much feedback from the retreat, and that was really some of like the team's favorite memories
Yes.
were
Yes.
that moment. And when you say we're going to draw Mickey, that's one thing, right? When you look at the schedule and then you sit and have that time, it was super special. And so special that when we started planning this episode
Yeah.
in the theme of like Valentine's and love, when we thought, what can we do special for our audience? And literally all 3 of us were like, could Jason come?
Yes.
So we wanted to bring.
When we think of
Let
love,
me
we
check my
think of you.
schedule. Nothing.
I was just going to say, Jason, how honored. We thought of Valentine's, love, and we go, we got to call Jason.
Jason. Yeah.
That's what I'm all about.
I know. The heartbeat of the
And
retreat
so we
there.
wanted to bring that to your audience and stay tuned to the end because what we loved so much about that retreat was really getting Jason's story behind, like
Yes.
as he taught us to draw as well, which was so special. So we want to bring that to you as well. So stay tuned because we do have something very special for you at the end of this episode.
That's what everybody loved, was the way that you didn't just teach people how to draw, but you infused your storytelling, Disney history, facts, and things that trivia that people didn't know.
Yeah.
As I have chatted with a lot of the team members, said that was the highlight. And there were a lot of highlights that day, but you were the highlight of that entire day. So we wanted you to be here because that we wanted to bring him to you as a highlight for your day too, because you're pretty magical in your own way. Do you know that?
I'm the male Tinkerbell. That's me. But what's Disney without storytelling?
Yeah, it's true.
That's the way it should be. I can't see myself drawing something in front of a crowd and not saying a word.
Right, just drawing it. Yeah.
Because I think it makes the characters more special. That as you're drawing them, you learn more about them and how they came to be, and it just makes the character more special. You appreciate it more, and you got a little story behind it. So it's just always been my philosophy.
Now,
Loved it, yeah.
Which is awesome. And like Marissa said, we want to make sure that everybody's ready So at home, make sure you guys have your pencils, your pens, your markers,
pads,
whatever it is you
paper,
need.
yeah.
Because after we speak with Jason, you guys
Yeah.
are literally going to get at home kind of one-on-one training how to draw
Yeah.
a very special Disney character, which
Right.
in turn could result in probably one of the coolest prizes that we've ever given away in the history of the show.
Yeah.
So this is great. I'm excited. But I think people mainly want to know, which I think one of the highlights for me meeting you at the retreat was, tell us a little bit about kind of your Disney history, kind of how you became the amazing male Tinkerbell that you are. How did you get? Take us through that. Take us through that.
Oh, let's turn back the clock, shall we? So I was fresh out of the the Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, and I started with the Disney family in 1996. And I wanted to be an animator, and it was as simple as that. I was raised on a diet of Disney films and just wanting to draw. And but unfortunately, in those days, in the mid '90s, Disney animation was probably what they called the second golden age of animation. This is coming off Aladdin and The Lion King. I mean, it was one of the most sought after jobs, especially working for Disney's, to be an animator. So just coming to Disney, I started in attractions and being at the Disney MGM studios, as it was. The animation studio wasn't built yet. It wasn't built about 2 years later. They worked in trailers in the back where Rock and Roller Coaster is today. And I used to go back there and just, just kind of like, can I see anything going on back there? And the animators were always there. They were very present. So they were, they would talk to us and say hello and, what you working on? Oh, I'm working on this, character. And even in art school, I was able to meet a Disney animator for the first time and learning about his job and how long he's had it and what he did. And so started working at the studios in '96, and I worked at the Great Movie Ride. May it rest in peace.
Right. We need a moment of silence for the Great Movie Ride. Oh, yes.
Muggsy.
One of the best.
But I was able to be close to the artists and able to submit my portfolio a lot faster because I was going to school in Sarasota and also Jacksonville, so I had to ship it and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get a job at Disney. I'm going to live in Orlando. And just just have always my ear to the floor if I've heard of anything, any portfolio submissions, anything like that. So that's exactly what happened. And then 4 years later, because they received something like 3,000 portfolios a month, it was crazy.
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
So there was a lot. But then they finally opened the studio in 1997, I believe, 1997. And
wasn't that with Mulan, right? Wasn't
right.
that
Well,
the first
Mulan
one?
actually started in the trailers.
Okay.
So they started working it. In fact, I know it's probably going to sound creepy, but it really isn't. But but back where the old wardrobe used to be, where we used to leave, because the parking lot again was where Rock and Roller Coaster is today for the employees, and there was a little window on the corner, right before you walked over to wardrobe, and the window was kind of low to the ground, so it's not like you had to climb up any trees or anything, but there was a little corner window, and there was always somebody in there. And of course, being the curiosity kind, I was always like, what's going on? What's going on? And it actually was Tom Bancroft's. I found out later on it was Tom Bancroft's office, and he was the animator behind Mushu. And I actually could barely see a little bit of a dragon in the corner. I'm just like, he's working on Mushu, And I found this out years later from a friend of mine because I was hired in 2000 as an animation artist. And I worked on the Magic of Disney Animation tour. And but what was really cool about that is we were actually trained by the animators themselves. And it was incredible. I mean, they invited us to drawing classes. They invited us to when they premiered the movies, not like Hollywood or anything, but when they had them in Orlando or they had a screening room. We got to see screening. We got to see parts of the film that weren't done yet. Because we were kind of like the ambassadors to the feature animation department. We were the ones who were actually selling the film to the guests. And so everything, Brother Bear, Lilo and Stitch, all the stuff like that, and it was phenomenal. And I got to learn more and more about animation and get to convey that to the guests and all of that. And it was phenomenal. Well, the studio, unfortunately, only lasted until about 2004. Of course, with digital, with Pixar making their films, and then digital was just becoming more and more the accepted medium. It kind of went away in 2004. The studio closed. And
was Mulan the first full-length animated feature film to come out of Disney's MGM Studios at the time, or was it Lilo and Stitch?
No, it was Mulan.
Was it Mulan?
Lilo and Stitch, and then Brother Bear was after that. Okay. So there were only 3. But I will say, a lot of the artists that I met, they worked on parts of other films. They worked on parts of Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. Aaron Blaise was very present at the Florida studio. He worked on Nala. And met him many times. Troy Gustafson, Ronnie Williford, Lon Smart, people like that. But they did work on several scenes, little here and there, in many films. But one of the first things they did in the mid '80s when the studio opened were the Roger Rabbit shorts.
Oh, right.
And there was Tummy Trouble, there was Trail Mix-Up, and Roller Coaster Rabbit. So those were actually done at the studios. There was actually a 4th one in production, but never saw the light of day. But those were really the first animated shorts that were done entirety at the Disney MGM Studios. And that pretty much set the ground, like, we can do this. We don't have to be in California. We could actually do it in Florida. But Mulan was the film that really proved that the Florida studio could handle its own full production. And then, of course, they built the 4-story studio, which was about 200,000 square feet. It's still there today. It's just used for administrative purposes.
It was beautiful.
It's
though.
a cool,
it is.
Such a cool building.
Yeah.
And it's weird because when you walk in it today, which I have, of course, there's no security. It's just
it's in a backstage area too, right?
Yeah, it's in a backstage area. Unfortunately, it's not
for people to know that they can't go to the animation building.
Right.
The audience is like, "There's no security." Oh, perfect.
Derek said to come on over.
But no, the reason I say that is because when we were being trained as animation artists, we had to sign documents. We had to wear so much security materials because what they were doing, we weren't going to see on the screen for another 3 years. And the internet really wasn't even that powerful back then, So or not as we had internet, but it wasn't like today. Somebody hears a little hint of a rumor, it's blown up everywhere.
Right, it's everywhere. Yeah.
The building still smells like the pencil shavings. It's really weird, but there are a lot of memories in that building. Brother Bear was the last one done. And but we were always on the 4th floor learning how to draw, the Disney characters and everything. And we were actually going to be brought on. There was only about 4 of us. We were actually going to be brought on as cleanup artists for a film called My Peoples, which actually had several titles. There was My Peoples, Angel or No Good Sister, A Few Good Ghosts. The title, usually the first sign of a film being in trouble is, the story keeps changing and the titles keep changing. Now, that's good and dandy when you're not spending millions of dollars. And of course, they said, it was really, it was going to be a mix of traditional animation with computer animation. And the way it was described to us was kind of like the hillbilly Toy Story. There were these little found objects that were created into dolls, and it was an adventure story, kind of like a Hatfields and McCoys. It was a love story, and there was an Abe Lincoln and a Dolly doll, and Dolly Parton was actually a part of the project. And it started out really good, but again, the story kept changing, and management at the time were just like, "Can we try this?" And the test audiences weren't getting it, and unfortunately, just never saw the light of day. But we were actually going to be brought on to the project, and I was very excited. I'm like, oh, here we go. This is it. This is my dream coming true. And unfortunately, but you know what? It was a sad thing because, there was lots of talent there that, I don't think really got to shine. And but I was very, very, very fortunate. I had one more very in there. Very fortunate. To have people that kind of led me in the direction of, well, if you can't draw for animation, what about product design? So so then I was hired as a merchandise artist.
Oh.
So I did everything from sketches in our merchandise shops. We had these beautiful animation tables there. We got to design pins. We got to design limited edition artwork. Lots of Star Wars stuff. Nightmare Before Christmas, Cruise Line. It was all over the place. And
didn't you say at the retreat, if I'm not mistaken, that you did antenna toppers?
No,
too.
Fake news, people. Fake news. I didn't say that.
Right. I think you did. I think we have it on video somewhere.
What did I say? I'm sorry.
Something about
Antenna
an
toppers?
Yeah, I did antenna toppers. That didn't last too long because a lot of cars, as you know,
Right.
don't have antennas anymore. But they were really fun to design. And of course, really, it was like, why don't we do this? Let's do this, and because you have to think of the character as as a product. It's like, well, we can design this, but it would probably fall off in 3 seconds. So let's not do that. Let's not give them antennas because that wouldn't work. And so not every idea was a great idea, but I did a few of those, and I did a couple of ear hats, which are cool, which I still see today.
The design of the ear hats.
Yeah, probably my favorite, and it was just a wonderful experience to do. Being a child growing up in the Spielberg Lucas era, like I'm sure we all were. But getting to work on, and this was before we actually owned Star Wars. So we had to communicate with Lucasfilm and the people in the Lucasfilm archives. And I still see them today. It's the R2-D2 ear hats.
Oh, yes.
So that was in 2006. I called them Ear 2D2s.
Oh, cute.
How
And
cute is that? Yeah.
yeah, and the guy that I work with at the time, he goes, do you want to try some ear hat ideas? He goes, yeah. He goes, we're thinking maybe something Star Wars or Tomorrowland. I was like, ooh, Star Wars. And I'm like, wait a minute, isn't R2's dome? Isn't that kind of like? It was like, good idea. So I did up a rough draft, and next thing you know, I'm communicating with somebody at Lucasfilm, and they're sending me pictures of. And I thought I could draw R2. I've been drawing R2 for like 40 years. I'm like, I thought I knew how to draw them. But apparently I didn't, because they're like, the dome is too angular, or it's got not much of a curve to it. There's this button's in the wrong place. This color's off. So, and that's what you have to go through with
Right.
products.
Yeah.
You have to get the colors right. Like Mickey's pants are like it's Pantone 285. I remember that.
Right.
So
Who doesn't know that?
yeah, right. There you go. Write that down.
Easy Disney trivia right there. Hello.
What colors are Mickey's pants?
What's the time frame to like design and then get approval and actually see it from concept to shelf for like the R2-D2 ears?
It can
months or
depend.
years?
No, not that long. I mean, it could be months. It could be a month, 2 months. Because a lot of products are a lot easier to produce than others. Some of the pins that we did, they would just be like regular flat pins, no embellishments. They were sent out to other places to be made. But no, I would say a couple of months.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing thing for the first time to see. It's like you go through, a Disney shop, and
there's your
that
ears.
pin.
Yeah.
That's probably like hearing
I'll
your
take 10 of these,
right,
thanks.
like seeing your book on the shelves or your song on the radio. Like that's got to be a moment where it's like you straighten them all and make
Right.
sure that they're all like perfect.
Especially getting to meet the pin traders.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
we met a lot of them. It's like,
I would just stand
where
there
do you
like
get your
all
money?
day.
Where do you
Right.
get your money? It's
Like those ears, huh?
Not even leave. You'd be like, you like that pin? I did it.
I happen to have a Sharpie with me.
mean-
Want me to sign anything?
well, we got to do pin signings,
Oh, cool.
and that
so
was cool.
fun.
That was really cool.
How do you do a pin signing?
How do you-
How do you wait? Like autograph a pin?
Yeah, like they would have events at Epcot. They would have when they would premiere
Yeah.
new sets.
Like
new
you're asking
pins.
where to sign
Yeah,
it.
like
where
on
do you
the
sign
back?
it?
Yeah.
On the back. A lot of them
you
were
can't- okay.
Some of them have very small. Like we had these Sharpies, and thank God my signature is like 2 letters. But there were some pins. People buy these gigantic pins. And,
Yeah.
Okay.
Or people would just want you to sign a piece of artwork
Yeah.
that coincides with the pin or the
Okay.
box it came in or something like that. But that was interesting because you really meet some really dedicated Disney people.
Yeah, pin trading is no joke.
And people were coming in with suitcases.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Full of pins. These
Yeah.
vests. I saw
Yeah.
a guy the other day again with the vests and the with the pins. It must have weighed
Yeah.
another 200 pounds.
Right, they're
It's
on
like they're
their
a fireman.
It's
Like,
true.
Literally, it's so heavy.
Right.
I did a pin event when I was an ambassador, and I literally had a lady chasing me around not chasing literally, but like wandering everywhere I went. And she wanted to buy my ambassador pin. She did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She offered me some money and I said no.
And now there are places where, people make these bogus pins and, like the guest relations Ds. I've seen them. I'm like, where'd you get that? I was like, well, I bought it online.
Yeah.
So now with, all the machines that people can buy to make these things from. So, but that was an interesting experience. But people were just so like incredibly gracious and and just really loving your work, and I think that's just the gratification of that.
Yeah,
it just made the job just fantastic and really, really cool. What are you doing next? What are you doing next? I don't know. And people would always give you ideas. Can you do a pin set on?
And things,
so it was great.
And things really kind of changed for you, which I found so fascinating when, of course, like for a lot of people, when COVID happened.
Right.
And it's like, what am I going to do? How am I going to keep active? How am I going to keep working? How am I going to keep my skills in order? So talk to us a little bit about like what you did during that time, which really almost became a great kind of claim to fame for you, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, COVID, I think, was a very negative thing for a lot of people, and but for some people, they found, new footing. And for me, I mean, I was like, so many cast members. We left the company, and being an artist, it's like you can't keep a good artist down or keep an artist down. And so I was still doing freelance. I was still doing drawings. I got involved with, the Ear for Each Other. And so I had lots of stuff that I could still do. I did miss the Disney parks. I missed all that. So I just started to draw online. I saw a couple of my artist friends doing it. And I said, I'm just going to draw online and on Facebook Live. And I just started drawing. And I was just getting requests. Can you do this drawing tomorrow? Can you do this drawing tomorrow? Can you do this drawing tomorrow? And so for literally, it just became fun. It's like, at 12 o'clock, I'm going to do a different character. And I picked the characters. And it wasn't just Disney. It was everything from, Rocky and Bullwinkle to Fred Flintstone to Disney to, what have you. And people were giving me suggestions. Can you draw this tomorrow, this tomorrow? And it was great because a lot of them, they had their kids watching, and people would send me pictures of the kids like staring at the laptop, and they're trying to draw. And again, that's the great part about being an artist, and probably one of my favorite quotes: "An artist is not one who is inspired, but one who inspires others." And just people were like, "Keep this up, keep this up. We love it." And again, during the pandemic, which was negative for a lot of people. They found themselves being at home for a lengthy time, and it's great that they know they have they're going to be able to draw their favorite character at 12 noon. So just to add a little bit of that sparkle, that sunshine. This is my Tinkerbell coming out, but to add a little bit of that pixie dust in the into the mix.
The time of the unknown. And
it was
gives
really
people
cool.
something to look forward to.
And you called it your what did you call it each day?
I did it at 12 noon.
Yeah.
And being that it is a doodle, I called it the Noodle. I called it the Daily Noodle.
I love
and
that.
I did 200 classes in a row.
Oh my God.
200 in a row.
Wow.
And you don't realize it. You're like, wow, this is class 150. Wow. And then I switched it to the Saturday Noodle because I got the workload started to become a little heavy, which is not a bad thing, but I decided to do it once a week. And just like you were talking about, talking and drawing, a lot of times, and it was done live, so I was getting a lot of comments, and we were talking about memories of being, kids watching Saturday morning cartoons and movies we've seen growing up and this and that. So I was like, what was the one day that's, if I could do this, what's the one day that's probably the most special? That was very inspiring to me to learn to want to be an artist, and that was Saturday mornings. I mean, the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show, and G.I. Joe and Transformers and all that, and sitting in front of the TV with your big bowl of
Sugary
cereal.
Sugary cereal.
I was just gonna say sugary cereal.
I was trying to think what was probably the most sugary cereal that I ate, and that was probably Fruity Pebbles. And you're still in your pajamas at like 11:15. You're just like,
A bowl.
My father like, well, you go outside and play. But that's, of course Yeah, because of course now you could pull up any cartoon,
Right.
You know, in 24 hours.
Yeah. On
But you
demand.
know, Saturday was the day. It's
Yeah.
like Saturday.
Yeah.
And so I called it the Saturday Noodle, and did that for another 100 classes. And then at 300, I said, you know what? I'm just going to do, I call them now instant noodles. So what I do now on Facebook is I say, this Saturday we're drawing this character, this Saturday we're doing this character. And it was amazing because I had so many people from California to Chicago to South Africa that tuned in every week to watch this. And they still keep in touch with me today. And the first thing they say is, when's the next one? But now, you know, people are back to work and, you know, life is starting to get back to normal. So there was...
You do this from your house. You have a studio in your house.
A room.
Well, tell everyone what the name of the studio is.
It's called the West Wing Studio. And it has nothing to do with the TV show.
Right.
But the room itself is in the west part of the house. And plus, I'm a huge Batman fan.
Right.
And Adam West is one of my favorite Batmen. So I called it the West Wing Studio. And it just stuck. And there you go. So... we've been in this house now for about 3 years, and it's been great.
Prior to COVID, and kind of the Saturday Noodle and everything sort of shutting down and everybody sort of pivoting, you created, you do a lot of legacy pieces. Kind of that moment when something happens within what I've seen, the Disney family, when Angela Lansbury passed away, you did a tribute piece to her. So you do a lot of tribute pieces too that I think people have really come to look forward to. Like there's news, Jason's looking for something on Facebook that Jason's gonna do. Where did that kind of come from, your tribute pieces?
I don't know.
Just,
no, I'm
way to keep up, Jason.
Popped
Thanks.
in my head. It's
Do I do that? I don't even know.
I don't know. What are you talking about, Kerri?
I don't know how my mind works. There's still scientists out there trying to figure this out. I don't know. And I'm sure you all have experienced, just you're driving, you're in a store, it just pops in your head, and I got to get it down. And of course, being an artist, sometimes again, sometimes you don't have the pad and the paper.
Right.
You're like, I got to get home. I don't want to forget this. You're like that director at a bar. You're like writing the script for like Pulp Fiction on a cocktail napkin or something like that.
Yes,
it happens sometimes, and
we do that for this show.
Yes,
too, all
some
the
of the
time.
best ideas come on a cocktail napkin. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you never know. So I think really the tributes started happening, and again, it was the people that responded.
Yeah, because they're so beautiful.
Just keeps you going, and it's amazing. But the tributes. I've done little things here and there. I was on my high school paper and college and all that, so we did little things here and there. But I think it really started with when I did the 90 Days of Mickey.
Oh,
and
yes.
I did a couple things in there to where like there was like a Mickey 9/11 that everybody responded to, and I'm just like, it's kind of nice because people were sending it to their friends and family. There were, if it was, a special animator or somebody in our society or somebody that we all grew up with that passed away, sometimes it would just be like, I'm going to do a little something special, because, of course, now with Facebook and social media, everybody's posting, I can't believe this person passed away, and they post pictures, and all of this. But sometimes it doesn't, like Lisa Marie Presley passed away the other day, and people were going, okay, where's the drawing? I was like, well, I wasn't, nothing against the Presley family or anything like that, but nothing really popped in I wasn't even really thinking about it. But like the Angela Lansbury, of course, Beauty and the Beast, I have, a history with Disney animation and loving that movie, and there's so much to it. That popped in my head. The Splash Mountain you were talking about earlier, I loved, everybody asked me, what's my favorite attraction? Of course, a lot of my favorite attractions are no longer with us, but that was actually one of my favorites because I loved the theming. I've always loved the theming of it. And so I just did a little something with Louis the alligator. And so
you did a tribute too to Aladdin when Robin Williams passed away.
When Robin Williams passed away. No, that was Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, was it Gilbert Gottfried?
Yes.
That's right. Tell everybody the story that you told us at the retreat about Robin Williams infusing that moment with the genie with Pinocchio.
Oh, yeah. Well, Eric Goldberg, who actually is still one of the 3 animators still employed at Disney, and a fantastic guy, and he tells great stories. I just love listening to him. You know, when I was, he told a story about, I listened to a lot of the history of animated film. That's where a lot of where my information comes from.
Yeah.
And I love interviews, when John Lasseter talks about how this came about, when Ron Clements and John Musker talk about how they came up with the idea for Prince and the Frog and all this stuff like that. So Eric Goldberg was, they were recording Robin Williams, and of course, a lot of people know that a lot of what Robbins did in that film was improv.
Right.
And I'm dying for them to release, like, because a lot of stuff, they couldn't put in the movie,
Right.
if you know Robin Williams' brand of humor. But for some, if I'm correct, I mean, there's like hours
Oh, wow.
of unpublished, I would just love for that just to come
Right.
out. I just want to listen to that. He knew the gist of the film and what was going on in the scene, but then, of course, he would add his little, Aladdin, and he would throw in actors that they're like, I don't think anybody's going to know that actor, or I don't think they would approve of that, or we couldn't get the approval for that, or the licensing, But there was one thing that Eric Goldberg said. He goes, because he was the lead animator on the Genie, and a lot of times the animators would actually be with the actors in the studio, to watch their mannerisms and put that, So he tells a story of Robin was doing the scene where Aladdin was supposed to give him his last wish, and Aladdin says, "Oh, I'll give you my last wish, Genie," and then the Genie goes, "Oh yeah, right," like that, and no, everybody's looking around like, what is that? What does that mean? Well, Eric Goldberg knew exactly what that meant. It's Pinocchio. It's a liar. So now Eric Goldberg goes to the directors and says, "Can I put that in the film?" He says, "What?" He says, "Can I put, because Genie transforms,
Right,
he turns
right.
into all these things." He says, "Can I turn the Genie into Pinocchio for like a split second? Actually have Pinocchio's nose come out?" And they're like, "Well, we own the character. Why not? Let's do it." Because if he just went like that,
Right.
probably not a lot of people would have understood
Right.
that reference. I still do that today. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, honey, whatever. I'll take out the trash. But anyway, so that's the story that he tells a lot.
The brilliance of Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Truly, yeah, absolutely.
And so I know during the retreat you talked about the 90 Days of Mickey, and there was that one story that I think stuck with not just our team, but so many of just kind of the hype it made it around like the internet world.
Right.
And that was the story, and I think in the theme of like love and friendship and all of that, it's kind of like our theme this month. But it was the story of Mickey and Pooh, which is a very odd meetup, but
Right.
you made it so magical. Can you tell us a little bit of behind that story?
Yeah. I was trying to come up with ideas for things, and as a writer, as an artist, as a musician, sometimes you hit that roadblock and you just can't think of anything. You're just like, I'm not feeling creative today. I don't know what it is. And sometimes it could be something really simple. It could be, walking into a bookstore or just taking a walk outside, get the blood flowing, get the hamster going on the wheel is what I like to say. So you never know where it's going to come from. And there was actually a part of that story that I didn't tell, which I'm glad to reveal here today.
Uh-oh, should we be nervous?
Because I didn't.
Has this been a
Because I was
bruise?
tired of Kerri going,
Hold on a second.
no, I'm kidding.
I don't see that story on here.
Gather around the radio, kids. But no, there was actually a part of that story. So the 90 Days of Mickey basically was just a way to get the hamster going.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I want to do something. How can I do this? And I remember reading an article about a Pixar artist that was around the time of The Incredibles was having the same problems. He couldn't think of anything. He was like, because sometimes you're just sitting at your desk and you're just like, trying to come up with ideas. And he said, I'm gonna challenge myself. They used to do that a lot in school. It's like challenge yourself. Just do 5 math problems today. Do 10 tomorrow. Whatever. So he said, I'm going to design a superhero a week. I don't care what it is. It could be Drano Man. It could be Powder Toast Head. It could be just something just to get the brain going. And I remembered reading that article, and I was like, that's a good idea. I'm going to draw Mickey. And I just happened to go online. I knew Mickey's 90th birthday was coming up. Mickey and Minnie. I want to be respectful. Mickey and Minnie. And I said, how many days is it till Mickey's birthday? And it was like something like 95. I was like, great. In 5 days, for 90 days, every day, I'm going to do a picture of Mickey. And I'm going to do it in different mediums. I'm going to do it in influences of different artists, Van Gogh or Dali or something like that. Ooh, Dali, I didn't do that one. I'm going to do that one.
91 days of Mickey.
91 days. So for 90 days, and I'm going to post them on Facebook, just for fun. And so I started doing that, and there was a, Mickey as a Viking, and there was a Mickey, like a Small World Mickey, and all these things. And number 13, which is the one you're referring to. Mm-hmm. So number 13, I'm up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I'm just doing stuff, and I couldn't. I was really tired, and I'm like, I don't know, should I get up early tomorrow and do it? I couldn't think of anything. So we just moved into our house in Winter Garden, and I was in the living room, and I don't like spiders. Little spiders are okay, but and if they look like Charlotte from Charlotte's Web, I wouldn't care. But there was a spider in the living room, and when it's like really high up there, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to bed. There's no way I'm going to bed knowing that guy is around. I'm a little bit of a wimp, and I'm just like, So now I can't be sitting in my room knowing that little creature is in the other. So I tried to get rid of the spider, and we still had boxes in the living room, like open boxes with stuff in them. So of course I'm trying to, I'm throwing pillows. I'm trying to get this spider.
The spider's just mocking you at this point.
It is. It's laughing at me.
He just
like,
threw a
what are you
pillow.
going to do, huh? Vaulted ceilings. Hey, sucker. Well, I hit it, and it's not that I don't love bugs, but spiders, I just can't do it. I hit the spider, and the spider fell in one of the boxes.
Oh, that's even worse.
So now I'm just
that's
like,
worse.
Now by this time my wife gets up and she goes, what are you doing? I was like, there's a spider in the box. I don't know which box it went into, and it fell in the box. And she goes, we'll get it in the morning. It's like, I'm not going to bed. Well, that just got my brain going, and I was like, now I'm not going to bed. I'm not tired. I'm going to do this Mickey now because I can't sleep. Which, by the way, we finally found the spider.
Thank God.
He's in spider heaven. Anyway, yeah, because I can't go to bed knowing that thing is in the box. Devising some plan to get me. Anyway, so I was again it was like 3 a.m, and I just happened to be looking at a picture of Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh, and I saw, I'm looking at Mickey. He's got his little red pants, and I'm looking at Pooh, and he's got his little red shirt on, and I said, wait a minute, that's kind of an idea there. It's like, what, and of course, growing up, we're always like, why does Pooh have such a short shirt on?
Right. Crop.
It's like me wearing a medium shirt, fat guy and a little cool. It's like, doesn't even cover his belly. What's the point? It doesn't make any sense. So I was like, what if, Mickey Mouse gave Winnie the Pooh, that was actually part of his red outfit, because it's very similar in color.
258.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was good.
285.
Oh, darn it. 285.
Get it right. Anyway, so I just did a quick, Pooh is walking in the snow, and there's Mickey. He's got a onesie on, and he sees that Pooh is cold, and he takes scissors and he just cuts off the top and gives it to Winnie the Pooh. And I just found an anonymous quote online. If there was a name attached to the quote, I would have given the person credit, but it was anonymous. And your greatness is not what you have, but what you give. And I put that at the bottom, and I put it out there. It was number 13. And I went to work the next day, and of course we're not supposed to have our phones on stage, so I had it in the drawer, and the phone is blowing up.
Yeah, right.
And I'm thinking somebody in my family is dead, something's going on. And people were just sharing it and tweeting it, and it exploded. And again, the comments that were made, the people that were sending, it's like, oh my God, I just sent this to a friend of mine who just donated a kidney. You know, I mean, I was getting contacted by, school teachers and people in the military and all of that stuff. And it just blew up. So that was number 13. Of course, I had 70 something more to do. But 9/11 got the same response.
Right.
There was that one and a couple of other ones. But still to this day, in fact, just the other day, I met a guest that asked me about, like, are you on Instagram? And I was like, yeah. And he had his phone, and he put his phone in my face and go, "That's you?"
Yeah. Huh? Yeah.
And these folks were from Pittsburgh, but I've heard from people from New York, California, all these places. It really didn't hit me until I met a family from England, and I was telling them the same story, and I showed them the picture of it, and the girl's like, "Oh my God, that's being sold in our stationery store down the street." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yes, John, look at this. It's right here." But these are not my characters.
Yeah.
So, of course, people are like, "You're going to sue them?" I was like, "No, because they're not my characters.
Yeah.
I just do them for fun." And
would you like to use this time to give a round of thanks to the spider that you killed that was obviously
So I would like to
responsible
thank
for
the
this huge
arachnid.
moment? Everyone, please, just a moment of
Yeah,
silence.
But
for
that was an add-on to the story that I don't think I told
You
at,
didn't.
at the event. But it's little things like that I mean, thanks to that spider, thank
Right.
you.
Right. May he rest peacefully.
That forced me not to sleep and to get that artwork done.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
It's amazing the things that come in the middle of the night.
the middle of the night.
But you know what we had talked about with the show and a giveaway and a special drawing and all of that. And I might just change courses while we're here live on air. But
Yeah, check the script.
There we
Derek.
go.
Make it a left.
I think
Throwing the script
that
out.
piece of art is so special.
Yeah.
And so maybe we give away to one of our listeners maybe a signed version of that, if you're good with that, Jason.
Of course, absolutely.
And so we would love somebody to have a very special signed piece like that. So make sure you are, again, doing all of the things. Liking, subscribing, put a comment down below. And make sure you're emailing us at info@worldsofdvc.com, and one of you will win a beautiful piece from Jason, and it will be signed with that really, really, really special message behind it.
so beautiful.
And I think what we wanted to unveil in this special February episode is, one, just kind of that theme of love and art and our Disney passion, right? And so with that, as we talked about, as we're taking over that Unlock Magic community and making it a special place, and what's been so exciting this last month is the feedback of people that go, I was in social media, I stepped out because it just got too crazy. It got too negative. And I think even going back to Kerri, our 50th episode, when we talked about there's so much noise, right? It was 2020. There's so much noise, so much going on. And what we want to do with Unlock Magic is kind of take away that noise and bring back that core of like the beauty of Disney. Well, and I think that this episode does such a good job of that. And so we want to keep bringing that to you. So make sure you subscribe. That is unlockmagic.com. Send us an email. We do have a special promo code for that. But make sure you're joining us over there, because we've actually got Jason to come over, and he's going to do a special, we haven't come up with a name, but maybe it's an unlocked noodle
Noodle or something like, right?
I'll throw it out there. But each month, right? And so make sure you're putting in the comments what you would like to see or learn how to draw. And maybe what you've requested will appear in these upcoming months within Unlock Magic. But on that note, since we're talking about kind of that special relationship of Mickey and Pooh, Jason is actually going to teach all of you at home. So again, grab your papers, grab your pencils, make sure you're sitting up close to that camera. And if you are listening to the podcast, you're going to have to pause that audio and head on over to YouTube.
You want the visual for this.
Look for we've got chapters set up. So just go to the chapter, draw Winnie the Pooh, and you're all going to have this moment to learn how to draw Winnie the Pooh.
So great. Take it away, Jason.
Let's do it.
Well, hey, everybody. How are you? It's a pleasure to come and draw with you today. We're going to do a little Winnie the Pooh today. Now, don't worry. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be an artist of 50 years, 40 years, whatever. Anybody could pick up a pencil and draw, because everybody can draw basic shapes. That's exactly the way that I'm going to start our Winnie the Pooh today. So grab your pencil, grab your paper, and my 3 rules: do your best, don't get stressed. It is not a test. You can do it, all right? Just have fun with it. That's all that matters, okay? So I'm going to go right to the paper, and I'm going to start with the most common basic shape, a circle, okay? You don't want to make the circle too big because you don't want to run out of room, okay? That's a childish mistake. Just make sure you get a nice size circle about the size of your hand, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and start off with a nice size circle. And you could do a couple of practice rotations. We're just doing quick sketches. We're doing rough sketches, so they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be all super clean, okay? Just quick pencil sketches. Let's go ahead and start off with just a nice size circle. Again, I just did a couple of rotations here, so I have actually several circles there. And a good trick to learn is that when you draw, start off very lightly, and when you feel comfortable with your circle, just press down a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder. Not too dark. Put on my spectacles. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the circle in half like a pizza. Just like that. We're going to call these our guidelines, our axis lines. We're creating a little map for ourselves so we know where to place the features like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, all that good stuff. Okay, I'm going to cut it again. I'm going to go across the circle, but I'm going to curve the line just slightly. Like so. And the reason I do that is because at this point we should all be thinking about drawing in 3 dimensions. We should always think like we're drawing the character like it's popping off the page. So we have to think of our character almost like a sculpture. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the features of our character. We have all the information we need. So let's go ahead and start with a curved line, and it's going to go right here where the 2 lines cross. Okay, now Winnie the Pooh's nose is kind of like a triangle. Think of a triangle and you blow it up with air, you know. That's my blowing up sound right there. So you take a regular triangle like we all know how to draw, and let's puff it up with air. Let's blow it up with air, and it's going to go right here just underneath that line we just drew. So there are technically still corners, but they're very, very round, soft corners. Not too big, not too small. As you can see, we still have plenty of room right here underneath the nose right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and shade that in. He does have that black nose, of course. There he is. Okay, underneath that, I'm going to put a smile. Okay, so the smile is not going to be like a nice clean curve. I'm actually going to droop it down just a little bit, almost like a jump rope, like we're pulling down a little bit in the center. Okay, and the bottom of that is actually going to touch the bottom of our circle. So it's weighed down just a little bit. You can almost see a little bear or some kind of creature coming out now. Okay, at the end of that line, I'm going to add 2 curves, 1 and 2. It's like drawing just a simple smiley face. And let's go ahead and make our Winnie the Pooh mouth open. Why not, right? So I'm just going to come down and right back up. We are now outside of the circle. And just like the smile, I'm going to pull down just a little bit on the center, again thinking like a jump rope. Because Pooh's so happy that he just found some more honey. And he's got his mouth open, ready to eat that honey. All right, we're going to keep it really, really simple, just like our character, so we don't have to get too detailed with the tongue. Let's just give him just a little curve for a tongue. I'm going to shade in the rest of the mouth, like so. And again, as you can see, we're outside the circle. Okay, So now comes the challenge of making the head, the shape of the head, okay? Not hard at all. But the one thing I want you to keep in mind is that Winnie the Pooh, like a lot of the characters, you know, they're stuffed animals, okay? So they're not perfectly curved at the top, okay? As we know, a lot of stuffed animals, you know, they have bumps in them, you know, some flat areas, okay? So don't think it has to be perfectly curved. There could be some flat spots in here. In fact, I actually prefer that there are. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the circle that I drew, okay, and I'm just going to trace a little bit of the top of that circle, like so. Let's just trace a little bit of the top of that circle, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come outside the circle just a little bit and then down to where the circle meets the line. Okay, you see what I did there? I kind of came out the side of the circle just a little bit and then brought it right here to where the circle meets the line. So I'm giving him a little bit of a flatness to his head. Not too flat, it still has the round shape. But again, it shouldn't be as perfectly curved as Mickey's. Again, I'm going to come outside the circle just a little bit and then bring it down to right there where the circle meets the line. Okay, now the fun part of the cheeks. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start right there where the line hits the circle. All right, I'm going to push out a little bit like this, and then I'm going to immediately curve around and bring it right here just to the left and underneath the mouth. Again, not a perfect curve. I'm coming out at somewhat of a straight angle, just not too straight. A little bit straight. Then I'm immediately going to curve around and bring it towards underneath the mouth, right about there. In fact, I'm going to bring it a little bit further to the right, like that. Again, relax. Just a drawing. This is your interpretation of the character. It's all about the fun, all about the fun. Okay, let's match that on the opposite side. Okay, now a lot of us are not used to drawing right to left or left to right, you know, depending on, you know, how we draw. You know, that's how we read. So this time, you know, take it a little bit extra time. You know, no need to rush it. If you have erasers at home, go ahead and use them. Okay, we're not looking for perfection here, but what I do ask is that try to make that cheek look similar in the same ballpark as the other cheek. Okay, so if it looks a little bit bigger, make it smaller. Again, take the side a little bit slower. Sometimes I have a little bit of trouble going from one side to the other. Okay, I'm going to bring both lines together right here at the bottom, almost like in a V shape, but I'm going to make it a very round V. No points. Everything is round. There's really not one straight angle or line on this whole drawing. Because when we think of Pooh, we think of round, we think of chubby, like me. Soft, fluffy, chubby. Kind of brought it together right there at the bottom. Almost has a heart shape kind of look to it if you see that. Which also goes along with February. Hearts, love. Start with a heart. Okay, so for the ears, same exact thing. We want to think round. We want to think fluffy, stuffing. You know, he is a stuffed animal. We're not going to do perfectly curved like Mickey ears, okay? Think of more like an oval shape, but again, want to add a little touch of that flatness to them. Okay, now the ears don't, like Mickey's, they're not really off to the side of the head. They are, but they're actually sticking straight up, okay? So it's going to be right here on the cusp of the curve, right about here, okay? So I'm going to start off very lightly with an oval. So lightly, I'm going to go back to what I did before with the circle. And I'm going to lightly place two ovals on each side. Very, very lightly. See how light those are? Okay? Very, very light. And I'm going to use these ovals just like I used the circle. But I am going to add a little bit of a flatness to the ear and bring it down like this. So I add a little bit of flatness on the inside. See what I did? So I came up a little bit straight, but then I curved it and just brought it around, curved it all the way back to the head, like that. So you do want to get a little bit of that flatness in there. It just adds more appeal to the drawing. Because these characters work with weight and everything else. They are real objects. You also think you are drawing a real life object. Okay, so Pooh, of course, wears that little red shirt that we all see him wear. So the shirt, very, very simple. I'm going to go right back to where I finished bringing these two lines together right here. And I'm just going to curve up like so. Right on the outside of the head. Again, thinking in 3 dimensions. So you know that there's a little space in between his head and the collar right here, making a collar. We want his head to be planted into something. So now I'm going to go above the end of that line on the cheek. I'm going to curve around and bring it down, and that's creating the illusion now of depth. Not depth, depth with a P. Curve around the corner of the end of the line right there. So now it gives the impression the head is actually resting inside of something, like a collar. And we're not doing a full body, so I'm just going to come down with 2 lines coming down at an angle on both sides, just to show that there is a continuation. It's just a nice portrait. You know, a lot of portraits do stop right about here. But as you can see, with what we did here, having the line start here and having this line stop right here, we're actually creating a sense of depth. So we see that there is a back side of the shirt. It should come all the way around here. This line is is behind this line right here. So again, it just going by what I said earlier, it should look like it's kind of popping off the page. Which now brings us to the eyes. The eyes are the most important part of the character, and fun for me because this is where the character just magically comes to life. So I'm going to go right back to this line, the curved line that I made, okay? And on each side, I'm going to put a little oval standing straight up, like so. Little oval. Look how small that is. Happy little trees. Little ovals right there. And as you can see, they're right there on the curved line. Okay. Now, he is a teddy bear, so a lot of teddy bears just have plain black eyes, so you can go ahead and shade those in dark. If you want to, you can even add a little white spot inside of the eyes just to give a little bit of a sparkle, like that. Just left a little bit of white in there. You could do that. And he does have eyebrows, and of course, eyebrows are very expressive, and they can really bring out the personality and the emotion of the character. But for here, you know, Pooh, he's happy, he's got his mouth open, he just found some honey. So we're just going to have his eyebrows just coming up and over, dark, not too thick. And another extra line I'm going to add, actually a couple of extra lines, because I really want the emphasis of Pooh being a chubby character. He's got a lot of cheek and stuff like that. Is I'm going to just add 2 lines underneath the eyes. Just to add a little more of that extra plumpness to his cheeks, because technically this is a cheek. And when he smiles like this, you know the cheek is being pushed up. And then underneath his mouth, I'm just going to put just a curved line like there. And I'm going to just lightly shade the tongue as well as the shirt. Now, if you have colors at home, go ahead and use the colors. I mean, Pooh, he's kind of like a yellow orange. He's not really yellow like a canary yellow, but it's more like a yellowy orange, kind of like a goldenrod. If you're using markers or colored pencils, usually it's labeled goldenrod. His shirt, of course, is a red, and his tongue would be more of like a pink. And of course, you can add little things to your drawing. You could put little bees around him like this, and I draw my bees really simple. I just use an oval with 2 little stripes. There's my bee. Put some bees around him. And I always like to draw the little trail of the bee. Like that. And there you go, and sign your drawing. So there's your little drawing today of Winnie the Pooh. It's been around over 100 years. He's older than Mickey Mouse. It's been around a long, long time. So don't forget to sign your artwork. You should be proud of it. There's your little Winnie the Pooh for today.
Well, we are so excited that you joined us today, Jason. And again, for all of you listening in our audience, make sure that you participate in order to win that beautiful work of art, again, hand-signed by Jason. That is, give us a thumbs up, a comment, a 5-star review if you're listening to Apple Podcasts. And again, write in the comments what you would like to see Jason draw for you in our upcoming episodes of Unlocked Magic. And again, make sure you are emailing us, info@worldofdvc.com, and one lucky winner will walk away with that amazing prize.
That amazing prize that Jason drew, not me. No,
that's
my prize. The loser of the month.
There's someone out there who does, I think.
Yeah, that was awesome. So, Jason, thank you so much for joining
pleasure.
us.
Thanks
Such
for
a
having
treat
me
to
here.
have you.
And as you're well aware, Jason, there's one last thing that we have to do. It is an incredibly long-standing tradition. Ready? On the count of 3?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
We'll
see you real soon.
Oh, boy. Thanks, Jason.
You're very welcome. I can't stop laughing.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Please remove your headphones, step back into reality, have a magical day, and we'll see you real soon.